Hey guys, I'm Jeff. Today we're going to be going over the pros and cons of hiring overseas. As you could imagine, there's huge benefits, but also there's going to be downsides to anything that you do. Let's first touch on some of the benefits of hiring overseas. So starting off, clearly it's going to be cost effective. It's basically guaranteed that overseas wages are going to be lower than domestic wages. Now, that being said, it could be anywhere from 20% all the way up to 80-90% cheaper overseas, depending on the role and depending on the location that you're hiring from. The next pro could be a con, but it's time zone. If you need something done such as video editing, graphic design, etc., something that can be done overnight, you're submitting work during your workday, assigning it to them, and then when you wake up, you see the finished work and you get to make revisions, edits, etc., or if it's good, you're ready to push it live in the morning. So it almost turns your company into a machine that's working 24/7 as opposed to just during typical US business hours. As you know, any decision you make is typically going to have some cons to it. So what are the cons of hiring overseas? Starting off, the biggest one is typically going to be culture or language barrier. English not being native spoken could be an issue. The language barrier could cause an issue with internal comms. The next con is going to be perceived value. So there's tangible value, real value, and perceived value. Unfortunately, here in the United States, there's plenty of companies or people that would jump onto sales calls and put an incorrect judgment on the company if they're talking to or working with an overseas employee. Because people associate overseas labor with lower wages, sometimes they can make an incorrect association with overseas labor as cheap and or bad work. Regardless of it being the case, there's plenty of times when an overseas team could make way higher quality work or higher quality output than what a domestic team would do, but because they're overseas and if a client is talking to them, they might value the service less. Honestly, this is just a perceived value thing and has nothing to do with the actual quality of the work or the experience you'll have with the company. However, people do have a bias towards that. Now, if we get into hiring domestically, as you can imagine, the pros are basically going to be the opposite of what the cons of overseas are. So the pros are going to be language barrier is not an issue. Culture barrier, it's essentially none. And the third one being is that it's a lot easier to build a company culture with people in person. Now, those benefits come with the cons of way higher costs. So if it's within your margin to do so, that's absolutely an option to explore. Or if you have a service business here where there's actual people needing to go do things, there's no way around that. So at least know that you're getting a few big benefits there. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. And if you do plan on hiring overseas and want to navigate around some of those potential cons like language barrier, etc., that's exactly what we do. We help companies find overseas talent with little to no culture barrier, language barrier, etc., and very cost effective, especially compared to domestic talent. You can find our website in the description below and like and subscribe for more. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one.